Don't you just love it when you can hear somebody chewing from across the room? Yeah, neither do I. Don't you just wish that Robert Downey Jr. was like at every single restaurant doing this motion, like telling people to shut their mouths? The worst part is when you can actually see the food actually being chewed. You can actually see it like disintegrate into the person's mouth. Anyways, it's disgusting. Stop it, okay? Robert Downey Jr. definitely doesn't approve of this. Anyways, all jokes aside, in today's video, I thought that we would take a quick look at one of the newest teaser trailers from Marvel Studios. Essentially, it's like a bunch of cast members or the potential cast members for the newest Avengers film. And I'm not sure if this is the next Avengers film. I guess technically we do have some MCU films, scattered across, but it's not those aren't technically Avengers films. I think this will be like the next entry into the Avengers universe, and this is going to be really interesting. The entire cast was announced. They have like their seats with the names clearly spelled out on the back of each individual seat, and then Robert Downey Jr. essentially telling you to shut your big giant trap hole because they're in production. They're filming as we speak, which is absolutely amazing. It's very exciting to be a big giant Marvel fan. Now, if you guys are interested in seeing me like break down the entire cast and what this could necessarily mean for the future of the MCU, I'll probably make a separate video just for the Marvel Cinematic Universe on my other channel. It's a very, very small channel. I upload maybe like once every couple of weeks. I probably should upload more consistently, but I'll break down more of like the ramifications for the MCU. Today, it's just action figures. I wanted to talk about some potential figures that we could see in the foreseeable future, and then which ones I think will just we just won't get in action figure form, or they'll just be reissuing the same figure because it won't really make a lot of sense, especially if they have the same outfits. Now, I did think about this before I started the video, and there is a possibility that they end up doing like the whole Endgame situation where everybody has, similar uniforms. And in that case, I suppose everybody would have a brand new release, whether they're just essentially doing some repaint and then just reusing the same body molds. I'm not 100% sure. But as I said, I think there is a slight possibility that some of these figures are just like minor upgrades, or they're just 100% reissue. So I thought I would go through the cast a little bit here, tell you guys whether I think it's going to be a brand new figure or whether we will get some reissues here or there. Now, there are the more obvious candidates. For example, we have Falcon, and then we have obviously Mackie as Captain America. Both of those I think will just be reissues if we get some brand new figures. It appears these are not like flying off of store shelves, and they're not selling incredibly well, so that makes me think that Hasbro probably wouldn't take that risk. You could already have these figures if they're going to have the same uniforms, I should reiterate. But I think there's a possibility that this turns into like an Infinity War / Endgame situation where the first film is going to feature each individual character with their classic uniform, and then maybe the next Avenger film after this particular entry, then that's when maybe they have matching uniforms. So I'm going to go off of that assumption. I think Mackie as Captain America and then Danny as Falcon, they will essentially just either be reissues, or I believe that they won't even touch those figures. They'll just assume that you already have those figures from the Captain America Brave New World, which, by the way, a tiny little plug here. I think it's definitely a film that you guys should check out. I know I've said that in previous videos, but it's actually a really good solid entry into the MCU. You have Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, as well as Letitia Wright as Black Panther, and I think both of those had some good solid releases in the past. I'm not a huge fan of the Ant-Man action figure the Ant-Man action figures that they've released in the past. I don't understand what it is. I think the last few that we've gotten don't even have butterfly joints. They have a single hinge at the mid-torso, and it's just lacking in articulation. I'm not sure what it is, why they disrespect Paul Rudd like that, but it is what it is. I think that one desperately needs an upgrade, but I'm gonna be brutally honest with you guys, we're probably not getting another Paul Rudd action figure, and if we do, it's just gonna be a reissue or a reuse of that body mold that we've been seeing pretty consistently. Now, the Letitia Wright action figure, personally, I would love to see an updated female body mold for this particular figure, but same thing, I think there's a very slight possibility, or I should say a very high possibility, that Hasbro decides to just reissue it. If there's any design changes to the suit, maybe they do some minor upgrades in terms of paint applications, maybe an unmasked head, something along those lines. But for the most part, I think it's going to be the same figure, because if I'm not mistaken, that Black Panther with Letitia Wright as the character. I believe that one was on the upgraded, or one of the most upgraded female body molds up to this point. I think we have had like maybe 2 to 3 different female body molds that have been released within the last couple of years, but I think that it's essentially like the same base body mold. So I don't think that there's a high possibility that we'll see like a brand new figure. It might just be a reissue or a reuse of the previous body mold. Now, we already know about the cast members that are going to play the Fantastic Four here, so I'm not really going to get too deep into those. That really applies more for the Fantastic film, but I will say we are going to get some action figures for the Fantastic live action film, featuring, Pedro Pascal and everybody. So I don't feel like they're going to, release a Fantastic Four wave and then reissue the same exact wave for the film. I think that's just another one of those easy no-brainers. If they decide to re-release it, it'll be like maybe in a 5-pack or something like that. But I kind of veer closer to the idea that they're not going to reissue those figures. They're just going to have a brand new wave for the Fantastic Four film. And then, once the film actually releases, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they probably have the same suits from the film. Or if there are some alternate suits from the film, you'll have like 2 different variations. But I think both of those will be released for the Fantastic film. I don't think that it makes a lot of sense to reissue or have like 2-3 designs leading up to the next Avengers film. It appears Sebastian Stan is going to come back as Bucky. Same thing with Wyatt Russell as U.S. Agent, and I think both of these, again, they're going to come fresh off of the Thunderbolts film, and I think that's just going to be their look going forward. There might be some minor little design changes here and there. There might be something, different with their outfits overall, especially with Bucky. Maybe they go with a more classic look, kind of how he looked in Captain America Civil War or the Winter Soldier. We're just not 100% sure how he's going to play it out. But I think moving forward from the Thunderbolts, it'll basically be the same figure, the same outfit, the same design. So I don't see them switching that up too much. Not to mention that film is set to release, I think, within like the next couple of years. So why would they, give you the same figure within the 2-year span? That really doesn't make sense. So those are 2 of those characters that I feel like you're going to get some really good releases for the film. I believe that the Thunderbolts is going to be an absolute sleeper hit, and in terms of merchandising, they're going to move a bunch of product because it is going to be critically well received. And so I think that'll kind of, word of mouth and everything will carry the film and elevate it to a new level that we haven't seen the Marvel Cinematic Universe reach in quite some time. And so I think that'll help in sales of action figures. So it just doesn't make sense, especially considering we already have a U.S. Agent from the show, and then we already have 5, 6, 7 different Buckies at this point. But I do feel like we're going to get the definitive versions for the Thunderbolts, and then moving forward into the newest Doomsday Avengers film, I think this will just be their look. So I don't necessarily feel like we're going to get new figures for those characters. Now we get to the exciting stuff. I want to talk about some figures that I do feel like we could see, or we 100% are going to see for this film. The biggest one obviously being Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doctor Doom. And let's not forget, we actually did receive a retro-carded Doctor Doom not too long ago that had some cloth goods. It's kind of like the definitive Doctor Doom for a lot of people. I could easily see them maybe tweaking that one and re-releasing it for the Robert Downey Jr. film. Although personally, I would love to see brand new sculpts for both of these characters. So I think Robert Downey Jr. 100% is going to get a brand new Marvel Legends action figure. Same thing with Channing Tatum, who's supposed to reprise his role as Gambit. I'm assuming that's not 100% confirmed, but I'm just going off of the rumors. Most of these are semi-confirmed by multiple different sources, and Tatum playing Gambit is really nothing new. He already did it in the latest Deadpool entry into the MCU, and I think that he is definitely going to get a brand new action figure. And both of these are very exciting. A lot of people have been waiting almost an entire decade for Channing Tatum to play Gambit. And yes, we did already see him play Gambit, but I think he's going to have definitely a bigger role. It's just going to be very interesting how it is that they introduce him and how they bring him into the MCU. Both of these, I really hope, get some cloth goods. I think it's something that, Hasbro has started to do a little bit here and there. There are some releases that feel like more deluxe. I mean, personally, I would like to see them wired. I know that's kind of more of a pipe dream, But, you know, if McFarlane was able to do it, I think Hasbro should be able to pull it off as well. But those are two of the most exciting newer reveals that I think for sure we're going to get in action figure form. And we're going to segue, I guess, once we mentioned Gambit, into the X-Men characters. We are supposed to be getting Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler, Ian McKellen as Magneto, and Patrick Stewart as Professor X. All three of these figures, I think, desperately need brand new action figures. I know there's a temptation from Hasbro to reuse stuff that they've been doing for the X-Men 97 series or some of the old MCU stuff for the X-Men, but personally, I want to see brand new body molds for these action figures. I think it's only right. We've been waiting for quite some time, and let's not forget, X-Men characters are finally coming to the MCU, and I think it would be an absolute shame if they don't go all out for the newest Avengers film. I think this is a brand new opportunity for them to give them brand new body molds with all the brand new tech, pinless articulation, double section at the abs, toe articulation. Let's go all out. This is going to be like the next big MCU project, and I think it's only fitting that all of these figures get brand new body molds. Now, Tom will be reprising his role as Loki. We don't know to what degree. I mean, will he come back, or will this be an alternate version of Loki? We're just not 100% sure of that. But I highly doubt that we're going to get like a brand new Loki body mold or a brand new action figure using any crazy tech. I think this will either just be a reuse of an older Loki action figure just with a new head sculpt, but I don't see them doing anything too crazy. I mean, we've already gotten quite a few different Lokis. We even got some variants from the Disney Plus live action show, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense. We don't need that many Lokis, and I think the sales will probably prove that. So I don't think that we're going to get anything too crazy from Tom's Loki here. Now, Chris Hemsworth as Thor will also be coming back, and this one's kind of interesting because I'm not 100% sure if we're going to get a brand new action figure here. He has already had multiple different looks. Let's not forget he was pregnant Thor for a little bit, and then he had the classic, Asgardian outfit, and then most recently he had, like the sleeveless jacket look. I'm not sure if he's going to go back to that or if it's going to be a brand new look for the newest Avenger film. I'm going to lean towards the idea that this is a brand new look for Thor. I just have a pretty good feeling about it, primarily because it seems like almost every 2 to 3 film that he appears in, he has a different new look, and that just makes perfect sense for me. Thor just has to be one of those characters that is constantly evolving, constantly getting wardrobe changes, and as I said, just as a character, he's evolved so much from his first appearance, and it would only be fitting. He is one of the original Avengers, and it would just be absolutely disrespectful. Now, I will say the latest Thor action figure that we got from, I believe it was Guardians of the Galaxy, or was it the Love and Thunder film? That one isn't really too old. I think it's like 4 years old. It already had like the pinless tech and everything. So if he has the same look, I would assume that they're just going to reuse that or just not release an action figure at all. But I'm going to lean towards the idea that we're getting a brand new Thor action figure. It's almost guaranteed in my personal opinion. Now, we did get a look at Florence Pugh's chair, so I'm going to assume that she's going to reprise this role or as her role as Yelena, which is really interesting. I'm kind of debating whether she gets a new action figure or not. This one just makes a lot more sense on the scale of, or comparing it to like the US Agent action figure. So I'm going to assume that almost anybody that was featured in Thunderbolts will not be getting a new action figure, or if they decide to make some minor tweaks, it's just going to be like a new head sculpt or something like that. But for the most part, it's going to be the same figure from the Thunderbolts film. Kelsey Grammer is supposed to play a Beast in this film, and kind of interesting. I'll be brutally honest with you guys. I have a really bad feeling about Beast because it seems like we don't get him as consistently as we should. I know we even got a Beast for the Age of Apocalypse. We got the Gray Beast as well as a classic 97's look. And Hasbro absolutely loves their classic look, and they love that body mold. I mean, I believe it was like one of the first few Marvel Legends action figures that had toe articulation. I'm going out on a limb here. I don't quite remember, but I do feel like the latest Beast body mold had a toe articulation. So I feel like they're going to just reissue that body mold, or at least, give it some minor tweaks and updates here and there, and then just give it a new head sculpt, to kind of represent Kelsey Grammer as a character. But personally, I would love to see a new Beast action figure. I'm very curious to see how crazy Hasbro would get with a Beast action figure, especially considering it would be a live action figure. At this point, Marvel Legends are probably going to cost like 30 something dollars, like at a base price. So I'm hoping that they go all out with this particular character. Beast is one of the most central characters in the X-Men universe, and articulation, and he's just a really dynamic character that gets into some crazy poses. So I'm hoping that if there's budget thrown around or if there's budgetary constraints, this is not one of the characters that suffers from that. And then we have Shang-Chi as well as Namor. Namor did have a somewhat modern character, a somewhat modern build in his latest release for the Black Panther 2 film. So I feel like he's basically going to be that particular action figure. I don't think there'll be any huge updates to him. But in terms of Shang-Chi, that particular figure is, I don't know at this point, I'm not very good at math, but I'm going to assume it's like 5 years old. I do feel like we're going to get an updated Shang-Chi figure, and it's another one of those characters that I feel like needs to get into some really dynamic, crazy poses. So it only makes sense that he gets one of the more modern, updated body molds, something like the new Iron Fist body mold, which I think is just absolutely phenomenal. The one that came with that Luke Cage 2-pack. I've heard it's absolutely brilliant. Toe articulation, double absection articulation as well. So I'm very excited to see a new Shang-Chi action figure. I think the first time he got a little bit disrespected. I think they were just reusing some body molds, or it was a brand new body mold, but no crazy articulation, no crazy poses. It was a little bit disappointing. Now we'll finish it off, and I think these are the last two characters. I might have forgotten a few here or there. I think we'll make a secondary video and kind of, circle back around. But there is M'Baku as well as Ghost. Ghost is obviously going to be featured in the Thunderbolts film, so I think that's one of those characters that will have a release there, especially considering the original Ghost figure is, I want to say, like almost 10 years, maybe like 8 years old. It's a completely outdated body mold, and I definitely feel like she's getting a little bit disrespected, so I think that figure will be updated for Thunderbolts. As far as M'Baku, depending on how much his outfit changes, I have a very bad feeling that they're actually going to reuse that. It was, I think, reissued in a single pack, but originally it was that Build-A-Figure M'Baku action figure. I think they're going to go back to that one, which I don't think is the right thing to do from Hasbro, but I feel like they're going to just apply those budgetary constraints to M'Baku, who might be a character that kind of gets thrust to the background a little bit, which I don't like. But it's just what happens, especially with these big, large-scale films. So only time will tell. There are some characters that, are like semi-confirmed, not really confirmed. So I'm going to leave those to the side. If at any point they are confirmed to be in the film, we'll talk a little bit more about them. As I said, I might have missed a character here or there, but I essentially just wanted to go through all of them, give you guys my personal perspective on whether we will be getting a new action figure from Hasbro with their Marvel Legends line, or if they're just going to reissue those characters, or in some cases not even release action figures for this particular film. It's very exciting. It definitely gets my juices flowing, and hopefully you guys are as excited as I am, and hopefully we continue to get more information as we get closer to the actual film. But what do you guys think? What character are you the most excited about? Which of these would you like to see an action figure the most in action figure form? Let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys like this type of rambling action figure content, make sure to stay tuned. We do upload pretty consistently. Stay safe out there. Enjoy the hobby. Pose your action figures. Photograph them. Whatever it is that you enjoy doing, do it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.